Okay. So that's a chapter 1
Recording is on.
overview. So from verses 1 to 26 is observing the armies, which is Sen Nirikshan Yoga in Sanskrit. And from verses 27 to 46, it's Arjuna's lamentation, also known as Arjuna Vishad Yoga in Sanskrit. Okay, so we have read from verses 1 to 13, which is the preparations of for war, preparations for war, and we are reading today from 14 to 20, and that section is the signs of victory. Okay, so we'll read from this section, which is 14 to 20. All right. So if you have opened the links or the books, we are on verses, we had read verse 15 last time. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
We had discussed Panchajanya, we had discussed Rishikesha, we had discussed Devdatta, we had discussed Dhananjaya, we had discussed Bhima, Vrikodara. Yes, everybody knows now all these phrases.
Yeah.
Any doubts in this one? Any of the words referring to whom? No problem?
Prabhuji,
Oh,
I couldn't find it. Where to go?
okay. So I'll share my screen with you. What are you not able to find the verse?
Where to go? Actually, I'm a bit confused.
Okay, chapter 1, verse 15. Do you have the link of Bhagavad Gita?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so Kalpesh has also sent it today.
Yeah, it's open now. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
front of me. Actually, I was a bit confused with the.
okay. So we had discussed 1.15 last week. Today we will be discussing the next verse, which is a group of verses 16, 17, and 18. So if you are able to open the link or the books, that's okay. Otherwise, I will share my screen also with you.
We have here.
Yeah, I'll share
Link.
my screen as well, just in case, so we can
Mhm.
all see what am I reading from. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll read the verses, all the three verses. So if you have any problems reading the Devanagari script, you can read from the English, not the translation, but the English script for the Sanskrit verses. So Devanagari is a script, it's not a language. Devanagari is a script in which we write Hindi, Sanskrit, Marathi, different languages. We write in that. So Devanagari is just a script, it's not a language. Okay, so this is Devanagari script and the Sanskrit language. Ananta Vijayam Raja
Ananta Vijayam Raja
अनन्तविजयं राजा
Raja.
Kuntiputro Yudhishthirah
Kunti Putro
कुन्तिपुत्रो
Yudhishthira
युधिष्ठिरः
पुत्रो युधिष्ठिर
Nakulaha Sahadevascha
Nakula
Nakula
नकुलः
Sahadevascha
सहदेवश्च
सहदेवश्च
Sugosha Manipushpakau
Sugoshamani
सुघोषमणिपुष्पकौ
सुघोषमणिपुष्पकौ
Kashyascha Parameshwasah
Kashyascha
Kasyascha
काश्यश्च
काश्यश्च
Parameshwasah
परमेश्वास
परमेश्वरः
Shikhandi cha Maharatha
Shikhandi cha
खण्डित
Khandita
Maharata
महारथ
महाभारत
Drishtadhumno Viratascha
Drishtadhamno
Drishyadhumno
धृष्टद्युम्नो
धृष्टद्युम्नो
Viratashcha
विराटश्च
विराटश्च
Satyaki
Sa- Satyaki
सा-
Satyakishcha Parajitah
Satyaki
सात्यकी च
Parajita
पराजितः
द्रुपदो द्रौपदेयाश्च
Drupado
द्रुपदो
Draupadiascha
द्रौपदेयाश्च
सर्वशः पृथिवीपते
Sarvasya
सर्वशः
Prithvipate
पृथिवीपते
सौभद्रश्च महाबाहु
सौभद्रश्च
Saubhadrascha
महाबाहु
Mahabahu
शङ्खादद्मुः पृथक् पृथक्
शङ्खादः
Shankadadmu
पृथक् पृथक्
अनन्तविजयं राजो
Anantavijayam
अनन्तविजयं
Raja
राजो
कुन्तिपुत्रो युधिष्ठिरः
Kuntiputro
कुन्तिपुत्रो
Yudhishthirah
युधिष्ठिरः
नकुलः सह देवश्च
Nakulaha
नकुलः
Sahadevascha
सहदेवश्च
सुघोषमणिपुष्पकौ
Shubhoshmanipushpakau
घोषमणिपुष्पकौ
काश्यश्च परमेश्वासः
Kashyascha
काश्यश्च
Parameshvasah
परमेश्वासः
शिखण्डी च महारथः
Shikandi cha
शिखण्डी च
Maharatha
महारथः
धृष्टद्युम्नो विराटश्च
Drishtyadhumno
दृष्टद्युम्नो
Viratashcha
विराटश्च
सात्यकी चापराजितः
Satyaki cha
सात्यकी च
Parajitah
पराजितः
द्रुपदौ द्रौपदेयाश्च
Drupadau
द्रुपदो
Draupadiascha
द्रौपदेयश्च
सर्वशः पृथिवीपते
Sarvasya
सर्वस्य
Prithvipate
पृथिवीपते
सौभद्रश्च महाबाहु
Saubhadrascha
सौभद्रश्च
Mahabahu
महान्
शङ्खान्मु पृथक् पृथक्
Shankadadmu
पृथक् पृथक् पृथक्
Now we'll try the English way of reading it, if it makes it easier. Anantavijayam Raja
Anantavijayam Raja
अनन्तविजयं राजा
Kuntiputro Yudhishthirah
Kuntiputro
कुन्तिपुत्रो
Yudhishthirah
युधिष्ठिरः
Nakulaha Sahadevascha
Nakulaha
नकुलः
Sahadevascha
सहदेवश्च
Sughosha Manipushpakau
Shugosha Manipurvakau
घोषामणिपुष्पकौ
Kashyascha Parameshvasah
Kashyascha
काशश्च
Parameshvasah
परमेश्वासः
Shikhandi cha Maharatha
Shikandi cha
शिखण्डी च
Maharatah
महारथः
Drishtadyumno Viratascha
Drishtyadhumno
दृष्टद्युम्नो
Viratashcha
विराटश्च
Satyakischa Parajitah
Satyaki cha
सात्यकी च
Parajitah
पराजितः
Drupado Draupadeyascha
Drupado
द्रुपदो
Draupadiascha
द्रौपदेयाश्च
Sarvashah Prithvipate
Sarvasya
सर्वस्य
Prithvipate
पृथिवीपते
Saubhadrascha Mahabahu
Saubhadrascha
सौभद्रश्च
Mahabahu
महाबाहुः
Shankhan Dadmuhu Prathak Prathak.
Sankadadmu
साङ्गादद्मुः
Prathak Prathak
पृथक् पृथक्
Okay. Did you notice something, all of you?
What is that something? Not sure.
Just a wild one.
Okay.
We could read English better than Devanagari,
Yeah, I think we got used to that.
isn't it? See how our brain is tuned. See how we are tuned, right? We are tuned correctly, is it? Yeah. So it's good to read Devanagari once in a while, so that you get used to the script very nicely. You're fluent in reading, because Sanskrit is best read in Devanagari. So you will be able to pronounce the words properly when you um, get the knack of Devanagari nicely. All right. So we'll read the translation. Anyone would like to read the translation? Maybe our new member, Vijay, would you like to read the translation?
Yeah, so I can do that. So uh, I'm in chapter 1. So we are doing the text 16 to 18. Is that the one?
Correct. Correct.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. The translation is King Yudhishthira, the son of Kunti, blew his conch shell, the Ananta Vijaya, and Nakula and Sahadeva blew the Shugosha and Manipushpaka. The great archer, the king of Kashi, the great fighter, Shikandi, Drustajumna, Virata, the unconquerable Satyaki, Draupada, the sons of Draupadi, and others, O king, such as the mighty armed son of Shubhadra, all blew their respective conch shells. Is that the one or
Yes, that's correct. So these are the different conch shells everyone is blowing. All the Pandavas are blowing to start the war. These are blown after the Kauravas had done their conch shell part. So see the hierarchy here, the way the conch shells are blown. In text 15, you will see Rishikesha, who's Krishna himself, had blown the conch shell. Then Dhananjaya, then Bhima, then 16 to 18, you will see Yudhishthir blew the conch shell, then Nakul, then Sahadev, then Kashiraj, Kashya, Shikhandi, Drishtadyumna, Virata, Satyaki, Drupado means Drupad, the father of Draupadi. Draupade means sons of Draupadi. Then you have Saubhadra. Saubhadra means sons of Subhadra. Mahabahu, Shankhanda, Bnuhu, Prathak Prathak. Okay, so these are the hierarchical way of listing all the warriors. So they are listed, or they are blowing the conch shells in such a way based on the hierarchy of their military expertise. So Arjun was considered to be the best. Of course, Krishna and Arjun, the combination. And then you have, next was Bhima. So in terms of the warriors, he was the second to Arjun. And then it was Yudhishthir. And then it was Nakul, then Sahadev. And then we have Kashi. So Kashiraj, king of Kashi, Shikhandi. Then we have Drishtadyumna, Virat. Virat is the king of Virat, Satyaki. So we have discussed all these people, right, in our previous lectures? Yes. So you all know who they are, right? Anyone doesn't know who's Shikhandi? Or anyone who knows everything about Shikhandi, you can tell, can share.
yeah? I think Bhishma has a curse where to have the Bhishma disown all his arms. That's where the Shikandi was brought in, and he was front faced during the war. That's what
Disown,
I'm.
disown the arms.
If Bhishma fights, no one can withstand his
Mhm,
strength
mhm.
or his skill. So that's where when the Bhishma sees Kandi, he will stop using his
Fighting. Yeah,
fighting.
he'll
Yeah,
stop fighting. Yeah. Do you know? Very, very good point, Vijay. Very nicely said that. That was the reason how Bhishma was killed. But do you know why Bhishma would put down his arms?
that I'm not sure. So
Okay.
he says he will fight with certain people and not with certain things. Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
right,
Because Shikhandi was Amba in previous life.
Correct.
right. Yeah.
So Amba, you know who's Amba?
So the story of Amba, Ambalika, and all those people, and how the
Yes. You
Mahabharata.
know
So I'm aware of it.
who's Amba daughter of?
Uh, I don't
Okay.
remember as such.
So Amba,
Panchala,
sorry, who's
King
that?
King Panchala, King
Who's
Panchala, Jay,
who's that? Ah, okay.
Jay.
Panchal, you mean Drupad? No, Drupad's daughter was Draupadi. Jay.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. And Panchal was their kingdom. Yes,
And Shikhandi is also son of Drupad.
correct. In this life, yes.
Yeah.
So who was Amba? So you are right, Jay. If you are referring to Shikhandi, yeah. So if you are referring to Amba, then Amba was not the daughter of Drupad. Can anyone guess or know who was?
I think it is Kashya.
Very good. Perfect answer, Jay. Yes. So it was the king of Kashi, whose daughter was Amba. And he had kept the Swayamvar of Amba, Ambika, and Ambalika, from where Bhishma had abducted all the three princes because to square up with Kashi Raj for not inviting them for the Swayamvar. So Bhishma went single-handedly, defeated all the Kshatriyas which were present in the Swayamvar, picked up all the three princes and brought back to Hastinapur to get them married to whom? Who was the prince who was getting married to them? Anyone? Bhishma was not supposed to marry because he took an oath to remain celibate or a brahmachari throughout his life. So he
Pandu.
was, so one second. So Bhishma was did not abduct them in order so that he can get married to them. No, he didn't want it to marry because he was a brahmachari. So he abducted them to get them married to a prince of Hastinapur. Who was that? It was not Pandu.
Vichitravirya.
Wonderful. Who gave that answer?
Me.
Who's that? What's his name?
His name, sorry, her. She's
Oh,
not.
her name. Sorry. I'm not able to see properly.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Isha.
Isha. Very nice, Isha. Very nice. Very good answer. So Vichitraveer was the prince of Hastinapur who married the two princes, Ambika and Ambalika. Amba was sent back because she requested that she wants to get married to some other prince, Prince of Chedi. So they sent her back. It was Bhishma who took her back where she wanted to get married to the prince. But that prince also rejected her, saying that now you are someone else's, so I can't accept you because you have been taken away from the Swayamvar. Now you belong to the same kingdom who has taken you away. So now Amba was in catch 22, paradox, doesn't know what to do. So now she couldn't go there, not here. So she asked Bhishma to get married to him, get married to her. But Bhishma said, I can't marry because I have taken the oath of celibacy. I will remain a brahmachari. I cannot marry. So she said, is your oath bigger than my life? Because you have put me in a jeopardy now. This situation is because of you. You abducted me. If it was a Swayamvar which was continuing there, I would have told them that I don't want to get married. I wouldn't have put. Swayamvar means the bride chooses her groom. So she would have said that, no, I don't want to get married. I'm not choosing anyone. That's her choice. But you abducted me from there. I don't have a choice anymore at that time. I had a choice now because now this guy is not accepting me. He thinks that I'm already abducted. So now it's your responsibility to take care of me, which was right. Bhishma failed there. He was in a situation where he has to follow rules and regulations, but he cannot on one side. And that when you are wanting to follow rules and regulations and cannot follow the, so some people, they follow the rules or regulations just for the sake of following the rules and regulations. Some people follow the rules and regulations so much that they are not able to understand the human side of it. That there are some emotions, there are some human side of involved as well. So you have to tweak. I'm not saying what is right or wrong, but completely depends on the circumstances. So he was in a catch-22, and both of them in Sanskrit, one is called niyam agraha, the other is called niyam agraha. So niyam agraha is when you are following the rules and you're not following the rules and regulations properly. Niyam agraha means you're following the rules and regulations so much that you are missing out or you are not able to maintain ethics or ethos. Does it make sense? Do you understand both?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was a catch. So now, because of that catch, Bhishma could not marry her and she was in a lurch. And that's when she left, cursing Bhishma that I would be the reason of your death. And that's how she became Shikhandi in the next birth to take revenge from Bhishma. That's the story of Shikhandi. Okay?
Prabhuji,
Yes.
didn't Vichitravir have a brother called Chitrangad?
Yeah, he was died. He died before.
Yeah, he went to Afghanistan and died, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, Kabul, Kandahar.
I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. I'll have to
No,
refer to
it seems that he
Mahabharata.
was in a long battle or something.
Oh, is it? No, I think he was not well. That's what it is referred into in Mahabharata, that he was not, what you call a healthy child, right from the beginning.
Sir, वो तो पांडु था यार.
No. Pandu was a pale one. He was not unhealthy.
लगता है everybody in their family was bad.
No, it's not bad or good. It is the
No,
characteristic,
health-wise.
Randir. Health-wise also, Pandu was okay. He was just pale. Pale doesn't mean unhealthy. Pale means the color. So you're pale colored. Many people are pale colored. I wouldn't like to put the category there, but just the color, the different colors of people, right? Yeah, and if you judge them based on that, it's called racism, I believe. So he was just a pale colored person. That's all. He
So
was
was
not
he white?
unhealthy. Sorry.
He was white, I guess.
Chitrangad was unhealthy. No, it is pale. Pale, P-A-L-E. Pale is the color. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So it's not
But then
white. I
he
think
was
it's off.
denied.
I think it's not white. It is off-white. Sorry. Yes.
But then was he denied the Sinhasan
Sorry.
just because he was?
Sorry.
Was he denied Sinhasan just because he was pale colored?
Who's talking? Sorry.
Vikas.
Okay, Vikas. Sorry, I couldn't see you. Yes. Please
Okay.
say that again. Yeah. Thank you. Yes.
For color, he was denied. Okay, I didn't know that.
Who was denied?
Pandu, right? You said Pandu was pale colored.
Yeah, but he was not denied for anything. What was he denied for?
Dhritarashtra was the elder son, and
yeah,
Pandu
Dhritarashtra was
the
denied because he was
younger son.
blind.
Yeah, blind. Yeah.
Because he was blind. So because he was handicapped, and it is said as per the Shastra, which is the Rajaniti, as they say it, in Rajaniti, a handicapped king cannot be given the throne. That was Vidura Niti.
Okay. I think I made mistake. Sorry.
No, that's okay, Vikas. Yeah, good. You raised the point. Yeah. So he was just pale. He was not unhealthy. That's my point. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Chitrangad was unhealthy, and he died in his youth itself. So he wasn't, able to make it to become a prince or the crown prince. So Vichitravir was the crown prince, and Vichitravir was given the throne. And for Vichitravir, Bhishma went and abducted Amba, Ambika, Ambalika so that he get married to them.
And they were both Satyavati's kids, right?
Who?
These two, Vichitravir and Chitrangad.
Chitrangad and Vichitraveer were the sons of Shantanu and Satyavati. That's good. Not only Satyavati,
Right.
Shantanu and yeah. So the thing is
Sir,
that
why?
the reason why we have to say both of them is because so in Mahabharat, like the father and the mother both are important. So you
Right.
should know who's who.
Right. So
Yeah.
they would also be the step brothers of Bhishma, right?
Correct. So they were step brothers of Bhishma. Bhishma was the son of Shantanu, same
Ganga.
father, and Ganga.
Ganga.
Yes. Okay.
सर यश चोपड़ा का पिक्चर है
कौन सा यश चोपड़ा? Okay. So Mahabharat is very and the thing is, the problem with today's world is that um, the bodily relationships, the lust and the basically the the bodily aspect has been given so importance. In those days, that was not the main um, you know aspect to look at. For example, the reason I'm saying is, if you see, Vyasadeva was called later to impregnate Ambika and Ambalika, and they gave birth to Pandu and Dhritarashtra. So if you see biologically, and today's world, if you see that becomes the most important thing. However, as per the hierarchy, Vichitraveer is considered to be the father. But in today's times, we can't think that way because we are overcome mainly by the lust. That's our main area of thought. We only think that, but it wasn't that way in those times. That was the least, you know, uh, way of thinking in terms of that way. So that was a contingency approach which was organized in order to impregnate the princess because Vichitraveer was not present. But they are still the kids of Vichitraveer because he got married to Ambika and Ambalika. So he's the father. So marriage was considered to be the main, because they got connected via marriage, not Vyasadeva the father. Does it make sense what I'm saying? Although Vyasadeva was the father, but it is very hard to digest, in today's times. But that is how it is. So we need a little bit of race consciousness in order to understand that, which was there at that point. Anyway, Ranti, did I answer your question?
Yes, sir.
So Yash Chopra's movies are based on lust. That's what I'm saying. They can't understand Mahabharat.
I know,
Okay?
sir.
Yeah, very blunt statement. Sorry. All right. Okay, so we'll go back on to. So, okay, now you understand the character of Shikhandi? Yes, who's Shikhandi? Everyone clear?
Yep.
Yeah, in current life, he was the son of Drupad. So Drupad has Shikhandi as his son, Draupadi as a daughter, and the third one, that is, who else was his son?
Drishtadyumna.
Drishtadyumna. Is he there in the verse?
Yeah.
Yes, Drishtadyumno. And then you have Virat. Virat was the king of Virat. And how's Virat related to the Pandavas?
Nakul Sahdev.
I think Pandavas, when they were doing Agnatavash, they went and lived in Virat's kingdom,
Yes,
doing different works.
correct.
Bhima as the person who cooks, and Nakula Sahadev was taking care of the cows and cattle,
Yep.
and um, Dharmaraj was entertaining the king with his skill of Um, so I don't know the English word for it. So
That's all right.
right. So and Draupadi was taking care of the princess over there. That's how Virat was closely associated with Pandavas.
Yeah. How they were related?
I think Abhimanyu's wife was Uttara, right?
Correct. And who was Uttara?
Daughter of Virat.
Daughter of
Daughter of,
Virat.
Exactly.
yeah.
Very
King
good.
Virat.
Yes, that was the relationship. So Abhimanyu married Subhadra.
No,
Sorry.
Abhimanyu was
Abhimanyu married the daughter of Virat, who was
Uttara.
Uttara.
Uttara. Sorry. Subhadra was the sister of Krishna
mother of
and married to Arjun.
Arjun.
Arjuna, yeah.
And she was the mother of Abhimanyu. Okay. Yeah. So Arjun and Virat, they were related because their kids were married to each other. Arjun and Virat. Okay. So that's how Virat was the father-in-law of Abhimanyu. So that's how the relationship was. Okay. Satyaki. Anyone knows who's Satyaki? We have done this, right?
Narayan.
Krishna's army chief of
Correct.
Narayan Sena.
Correct. So he was in the Narani Sena, but he chose to fight for Krishna rather than against Krishna. That was Satyaki. Okay. Who had the Narani Sena?
Duryodhan.
Duryodhan. So it was Krishna's Narayani Sena, but he gifted it to Duryodhan. Okay. All right. Satyaki cha parajitah. So there are words here. So you say Satyaki cha parajitah. So they're telling about Satyaki. So it is cha parajitah. So this is a Sanskrit word. If you see cha parajitah, so it can have two meanings. So when you have multiple meanings of one word, those words are called multivalent, multivalent words. So this is one of the multivalent words. So if you see cha parajitah, Satyaki cha parajitah, Satyaki cha aparajitah. So Satyaki cha aparajitah. So there are two ways of pronouncing it. That's how Sanskrit becomes very interesting, you know. So you can have multiple meanings depending on the context. So the way you pronounce it, it changes the meaning. How good is that? Same spelling. You see, that's why uh, Sanskrit is like, you know, it has a lot of um, the granularity of Sanskrit is very powerful. It's very, you know, at a higher level. So you can, it's very granularized. So if you see chaparajita means, aparajita means someone who cannot be defeated. Aparajita. And chapa rajita. Chapa means the bow. Chapa. Okay. Bana is the arrow. Chapa means the bow. Chapa rajita. Rajita means someone who is expert or the king in using the bow. King of the bow. So he was a great archer, Satyaki. Okay. So that's how one word, two meanings, praising the same person. He cannot be defeated and a great archer. You see, so all words in Sanskrit are like that. The way you pronounce, you know, it changes the meaning. So that's why it becomes important to try and read the Devanagari script, because that will give you the right pronunciation. Okay, it'll help you with the right pronunciation. The English is also there to help you. Okay, Drupado. Who's Drupad? Drupad is the father of
Father of Draupadi.
Father
Draupadi,
of Draupadi.
Drishtadyumna, and Shikhandi. Okay,
Yeah.
so he also has a past. We have discussed this already. Yes, we have Dronacharya and Drupad. We have discussed this already.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Next is Draupadi. Draupadi means sons of Draupadi, sons of Arjun. But sons of Draupadi does not mean only the sons of Arjun, because Draupadi was Panchali. She was married to all the five Pandavas. So she had sons from all the 5 Pandavas. Okay, so those sons, they were also fighting. Sarvashah Prithvipate. Saubhadrascha. Who's Saubhadrascha? Saubhadra means son of Subhadra. Who's that?
Abhimanyu.
Abhimanyu.
Abhimanyu. Very good. Mahabhavu Shankhan Dadmuhu Prathak Prathak. So everyone by the hierarchy of that started blowing the conch shells. Okay, is this verse clear? Yeah, you understood the hierarchy and the background of all the warriors. Any comments or questions? No? So can we move on to the next verse? Yes? Okay. So verse 19. Let me open up screen for you. I'll share my screen. Okay. Are you able to see this? 1.19?
Yeah.
Okay. Please repeat after me. Saghoshodhartarashtraणाम्
Saghoshodhartarashtraणाम्
हृदयानि व्यदारयत्
हृदयानि
हृदयानि
नभश्च पृथिवीं चैव
नभश्च
नभश्च
पृथिवी चैव
पृथिवीं चैव
तुमुलो अभ्यनुनादायन्
तुमुलो नादायन
तुमुलोऽभ्यनुनादायत
सघोषोधार्तराष्ट्राणाम्
सघोषोधार्तराष्ट्राणाम्
हृदयानि व्यदारयत्
हृदयानि
हृदयानि व्यधारयत्
हृदयानि
नभश्च पृथिवीं चैव
नभश्च
नभश्च
चैव
पृथिवीश्चैव
तुमुलो अभ्यनुदादयन्
तुमुलो
तुमुलोऽभ्यनुनादयन्
अभ्यनुदायतन्
सघोषोधार्तराष्ट्राणाम्
सघोषोधार्तराष्ट्राणाम्
सघोषोऽधार्तराष्ट्राणाम्
हृदयानि व्यदारयत्
हृदयानि
हृदयानि व्यधारयत्
नभश्च पृथिवीं चैव
नभश्च
नभश्च
पृथिवी
पृथिवीश्चैव
तुमुलो अभ्यनुनादयन्
तुमुलो
तुमुलो अभ्यनुदायन्
तुमुलोऽभ्यनुनादयन्
Can someone please read the translation? This verse.
The blowing of these different conch shells became uproarious, vibrating both in the sky and on the earth. It shattered the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra.
So, the uproar, the tumultuous sound, vibrations of the conch shells, it went tumultuous. That means it went from the earth till the sky. There was huge sound of the conch shells, massive sound of the conch shells vibrating both in the sky and on the earth. It shattered the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra. So listening to that sound vibrations, which were so uproarious, all these sons of Dhritarashtra, Dhartarashtra. Dhartarashtra means sons of Dhritarashtra. So sons of Dhritarashtra, they became fearful, shattered the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra. So the two important things here, if you see, they are Saghosho Dhartarashtranam. So that vibration, hridayani vyadarayat, that vibration created or they shattered the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra. So these are the signs of victory. Victory for
Pandava.
Pandavas.
Mandava.
So they knew in their heart, although we have a bigger army, but their zeal is very high. Their the tempo is very high. That just was the sound was too you know um, difficult to handle for the yeah. And they knew that anything could happen in this war, even though we have a bigger army, but it may so happen that we may lose at the end. Looking at the you know um, the powerful conch shell vibrations. So if you read the purport of this particular verse, if you see the last line of the purport, it says, one who takes shelter of the Supreme Lord has nothing to fear, even in the midst of the greatest calamity. It's a very good statement by Srila Prabhupada, who has translated this Bhagavad Gita as it is. So, although Pandavas had the army lesser than, or the strength of the army, the military lesser than that of the Kauravas, but the spirit was very high. The zeal to fight was very high, and most important thing, they were under the shelter of Krishna,
Krishna.
the Supreme Lord Himself. So that is the statement made by Srila Prabhupada, that when you are under the shelter of the Supreme Lord, there is nothing to fear. So when we talk about fearlessness or courage, so courage is not necessarily the absence of fear. Courage is the awareness of the presence that dwarfs the fear. So courage is not the absence of fear. It is the awareness of some presence which dwarfs the fear, which reduces the fear. You able to understand this? I'll give you an example. Before I answer you, Randhir, I'll give you an example to just an analogy so that you can understand what I just said. Suppose you're walking on a very dark, street with no lights at night, alone. You're walking, and suddenly you see from far in the front one huge, body, and a man is coming. Very dangerous looking person and very shabby, doesn't have good intentions by the appearance or his gestures. He's walking towards you. What would be inside you? There'll be fear. Yes. So there will be some kind of fear in that there is no one here and this person who is such a giant kind of a person and doesn't have the right. He might rob me, he might hit me, he might, you know, um, trouble me. You might stop, you pause, you might, look around here and there. And suddenly you turn around and you see a person double the size of that person in a police uniform with all the weapons on his body, gun and whatnot. Now, how will you feel? Will you have the same amount of fear or will it reduce?
Yeah, it will naturally reduce.
Yeah, and you will walk very comfortably
Yeah.
towards that person because you see this huge policeman who's double the size of this guy is walking behind you, so you don't have to fear. Just by this person's presence, although he might have not done anything to you, he would have just gone past, but there was fear. But just with the presence of this policeman, your fear is diminished. What I'm trying to say is that when we understand that we are under the shelter of the Supreme, when we realize that we are in the shelter of Supreme, the fear is dwarfed. Courage comes when you have some shelter, some powerful shelter. Courage is not the absence of fear, not necessarily the absence of fear. Does it clarify my statement? Yeah. Randhir, you had a question. Yes, all yours.
Sir, thoda complication to this. If courage is not the absence of fear, but the awareness that there is something, right? But the awareness of something greater,
Yes.
then can it not be that a person can actually be courageous and fearful at the same time, at the same state?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
अगर fear का absence नहीं है, right?
Yeah.
But at
That's
the
what
same time,
mostly it is said, right? You are very well dressed, but stressed.
right,
Yeah.
right,
So you may be looking really good and very flamboyant from outside, but feeling crap from inside. How would you know?
right. Okay.
So fearlessness can also be developed by knowledge. So when you have knowledge, it also helps dwarf the fear. Now, what is the knowledge? The knowledge of that there is a presence of someone who's above all this. And that is why the statement makes complete sense that someone who's in the shelter of the Supreme becomes fearless. And that is the reason why the Pandavas, conch shells, just by blowing the conch shells, they could create the fear in the hearts of Duryodhan. Now, another example which I can think of, you see lion, lion actually, if any fast running animal tries to nudge with the lion, I think he can easily get away, because lion cannot run that fast. But still, the animals are fearful of him. Reason being, he roars crazily. He roars in such a way that it'll create fear inside you. So that also says fear is something within us. It is not something which is, someone can just show and that he's fearless. It is the feeling or the realization of the presence of something more stronger than the object from which you are fearful of. It may be a situation, maybe a person, maybe anything. But that knowledge is very important. Yes, Randy.
But sir, action also plays a big part. Na? I mean, you throw a person into the water, right? Being aware of, yes, there's going to be the supreme, but you got to take some action yourself.
Of course, you'll try to retaliate, right? You'll try to save yourself.
No. I understand that. What I'm trying to say is, once you're courageous, there is absence of fear, knowing that there, but it also plays a major portion of us intervening into it, right, and acting upon it.
Yeah, you'll act if you don't have fear. How will you act if you are fearful? Yes, Vijay.
So, one more analogy, if I can add, right?
Yes, sure.
Um, a person who is into the water. Imagine he is into the water, which is a calm river or a calm lake, which is pretty still, right? Versus someone goes to the ocean and they're into the water, they fell into the water. There, the fear factor comes from the roar of the waves and all those things. That's called ghosh, right? Uh, so here, when in our reading, it mentions it compared with the ghosh. So that is the fear in creates. If a person is fell into still water, he can still believe that I can come out. If they fell into the ocean where the waves roar and everything, right? So fear automatically kills them 50%. So that's what I can relate from this.
Very good point, Vijay. So, like, I can just, add a few bits to what Vijay said. Is that if a person who knows swimming, for example, he knows how to swim, and he is able to swim out of any kind of a um, water setup, and if he's in a swimming pool, however deep it may be 18 meters deep, the deepest swimming pool in the world, it may be that he may be able to come out of it because it's a swimming pool, the thought that it's a swimming pool. But if he's in a sea which is that deep, and the fear of the sea could kill him half, so his strength to come out of that water, if he's drowning for any reason, is come out of that, would reduce, because he is under the under the influence of fear,
Yeah.
just because of the fear of. Am I right? Am I saying it correct, Vijay?
Right. And in this case, we have to imagine that the supreme strength he is getting from his own body, right? Own mind. So
Yeah,
both the situation, he is the same person,
absolutely.
and there the fear is dominating him compared
Yes,
to the confidence that gives him that yes, you can survive.
yes. So fear is definitely what not there in the objects or any external. It's something within us. And what Bhagavad Gita says is someone who is understanding the presence of a supreme, who is actually the Rishikesha, who is the controller. Why should we fear? There is no need of fear. So courage comes when there is an understanding or the awareness of the presence which will be able to help you dwarf the fear. I have some shelter. I'm under the shelter of this. So that was the fearlessness of the Pandavas. Even though being less in numbers of the soldiers. So that is verse number 19. We'll discuss a little bit more on verse number 19 and we'll start with 20 next week. But any comments or questions? Happy to take. Everyone knows how Drishtadyumna and Draupadi were born.
Havankund, I think, Swamiji.
Yeah. Okay. So what was the um, pastime behind it, or why they were brought out of the yagna or the Havan Kunda, Havan Agni?
Also, no?
Uh,
Yes, Smita.
I think Dronacharya and King Drupad, they had their differences, and
Yes,
he
Yeah.
Drupad wanted someone to defeat Dronacharya, so
yes,
he did the
Okay.
Yagya Mahayagya
yes,
for a son,
mm,
and that's how Drishtadyumna was.
yes. So he did a yagya asking for a son who could kill Dronacharya. So the purpose of Drishtadyumna's birth was to kill Dronacharya. He was born to kill Dronacharya. That was the only reason of Drishtadyumna's birth. Yeah. So that doesn't mean that only Drishtadyumna has a purpose. We all have a purpose. There is a purpose for why we are in this world. And human life is to find that purpose and act on it. So before we find out our purpose, we have to find who we are. And that's how Bhagavad Gita helps us. Because most of the people, or generally all of them, humans, they try to understand or analyze someone of what he has as compared to what he is or what the other person is. Everyone is analyzed by what he has than what he is. We also judge ourselves by what we have instead of asking ourselves, who am I? I've seen many people who say, so how's this person doing? Where is he? How's he? Oh, he drives a Jaguar now. What does that mean? That means he has a Jaguar. That's it. So if he has that, he's something great. So you are known by what you have, not by what you are, unfortunately. But Drishtadyumna has a purpose to kill Dronacharya. That was his life. That's why he was born out of Agni, out of the tapasya done by the Rishi and initiated by Drupad. I'm not saying that's a right purpose or wrong purpose, but that was a purpose. So everyone has a purpose, and we should try and find our purpose of life. When we're able to find a purpose of life, then it becomes very clear, able to make decisions, able to understand, and also helps us to know who we are rather than just getting all the toys and knowing the life as what we have the most before we die. So purpose is very important. That's how Drishtadyumna was born. Draupadi also came out of the same Havanakunda. So good answer, Naisha. Good
And
answer, Smita.
Prabhuji, she was partially, she got purpose as well because she was partially involved for Dronacharya, uh, um,
Dronacharya.
in his death.
No. Draupadi was born because of a boon which was given to her to get 5 husbands in this life.
Oh,
In her previous life, which we had discussed last week, where Vyasdev had made understood all the Pandavas, the reason why you have to all marry Draupadi is because in her past life she had done a sacrifice and asked Lord Shiva to give her husband, and she requested that 5 times. So that request was accepted by Lord Shiva and said, "You will have 5 husbands in your next life." That's why she had Pandavas. Very briefly, but there's a long story in this Mahabharata. Okay, so we'll end our discussion here. Any questions or comments, please ask. Otherwise, we'll catch up next week, same time. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So one quick question, sir.